Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. So, I love James Earl Jones. One of my favourite films is Field of Dreams, and I know he's famous for doing the Luke, I am your father thing, but the speech in Field of Dreams, oh my goodness. But what a guy. So I've been reading about his story, just because that's what happens when somebody dies. And I didn't know that he had like such a problem with his speech. I mean, he's known for his voice, his amazing voice, and he had a stutter as a kid, and it's just like, what the hell? And it just got me thinking because I was reading that he struggled with speaking as a child, therefore spent a lot of time just like paying attention to what other people said, etc., which reminds me of my childhood because I was sort of a selective mute. I didn't really talk a lot as a kid, was very quiet, did a lot of just observing other people. And what I do now is because I was then diagnosed dyslexic and then recently autistic, I've got like executive dysfunction issues. I have a short-term memory problem. I can't remember things I really have to focus on remembering. So when you see me go live, I don't have a script, I don't have a prompt, or I don't use any of those whizzy things that people use, because it just wouldn't work for me. What you'd get is very much a more sort of autistic, resting bitch face type, oh, and this, and you'd lose like the flavour I bring to things and the fact that this is me talking about something that's really passionate to me, and I haven't rehearsed it. I don't really know quite what I'm going to say. I know vaguely that I want to sort of link what I'm talking about. So in the same way that he maybe looked at observing people, how do they speak, how do they get across what they want to say, you can tell by the way that he talked, it was very deliberate. The presence he brought to stuff, he had really thought through how he was going to get that cadence in and everything. That's what made his voice so amazing, because of something that he potentially struggled to express in a way. And so I really resonated with that, firstly as the sort of mutism, like having trouble with talking or trying to express who you are. Obviously I didn't have a stutter, so that wasn't a thing, but I did have this sort of not quite getting the words out in the way I want. I sometimes say that my mind is sometimes like a bit of a Bermuda Triangle. I know what I want to say, but it doesn't always come out the way I want it to come out. And especially when I'm writing, there seems to be a Bermuda Triangle between my thoughts and getting it on a paper for sure, which is why I much prefer just winging it, and what you see is what you get. When I'm talking, as I said, it hasn't been rehearsed. I'm just sort of going with what's coming into my head and what comes out of my mouth, because I'd far rather be authentically me and maybe apologise for stumbling over things and stuff than you getting somebody who's just going, oh, and I'm reading this from a script, blah, 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 blah. So I just thought, that's something that James Earl Jones obviously worked really hard at and found his way to express who he was. And how amazing was that? Because wow, to be known for a voice as someone who had a stutter. So how can you take that sort of lesson and bring that into maybe something that you do? So for me, it's always going to be, I'm not going to use a script. If I ever do a speech, it's going to be barest minimum notes, if any notes at all. I'm just going to have to try and remember where I was heading or whatever. And maybe there are other ways to do that. If you have similar issues to me and you have a way that you remember what you want to say to people in a non-writey down type of way, please share it with me, because that would be awesome. But other things that you can take and go, wow, look at how that person changed that, or looked at that, and could you do that for yourself with something that maybe you've seen as a disability or an issue or something that you struggle with, and then look at it a different way and go, well, how can I use that in a slightly different way? So I just thought I'd share that because obviously it's topical, and I didn't know that about James Earl Jones, and I am going to go and watch Field of Dreams because I love that film and I haven't seen it for ages. So if you haven't seen Field of Dreams, oh my god, go and watch Field of Dreams. But whatever you do, remember you're amazing and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.